shout out to everybody. If there's anybody that's in the Discord and you guys happen to find that full interview, because I was trying to find it and I couldn't find it, let me know. Shoot it to me in the Discord, and we'll finish reacting to the rest of that video, because I want to hear what else that clown had to say. So now next we about to listen to Charlamagne the God and Angela RYE.
On the road again and trying to make major inroads with voters in the state where she defied the odds with President Biden in 2020. That would be Georgia. And Vice President...
Yeah, I gotta agree. Shout out to John. John said top tier SBE. Facts. If y'all agree with John, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. That was top tier elite omega level SBE. You know what I'm saying?
Harris is taking her campaign through GOP strongholds in southern Georgia. It's part of a two-day tour with her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, their first appearance together in the state and first time back on the trail since the convention, visiting a barbecue joint and dropping by a high school.
Visiting a barbecue joint. How nice. I wonder what she was expecting to find there. Some ribs.
We wanted to come by to remind you that our nation is counting on you. We're so proud of you and everything you have achieved. And I will tell you, I was in band when I was your age. So I know a little bit about, coach knows about players.
Man, she did everything that everybody did. Y'all, anybody want to know how to get Kamala Harris in trouble? Take her to a AA meeting and let her talk to a bunch of drug addicts and just record it. That's it. Boom, you got her. Because she gonna just say that she did the same thing that everybody else did. Isn't it crazy? She been around the world, yeah. You know what I'm saying? And done everything that everybody else has done.
Right? And all that you all are doing, it requires a whole lot of rehearsal, a whole lot of practice. But all that practice makes for beautiful music. And that is a metaphor, that is symbolic for everything that you all will do in your lives.
And tomorrow in Georgia, Harris and Walz will sit down for their first interview as their party's nominees. It airs 24 hours from right now, 9 p.m. tomorrow night, only right here on CNN. A lot riding on that appearance for the vice president. And as the Democratic ticket tries to put the Peach State back in play, a brand new poll tonight shows
scandalous, plebiscite,
Harris gaining ground in Sun Belt battlegrounds, among them Georgia. Harris with 50% support among registered voters, and Donald Trump at 48%, so incredibly tight within the margin of error. So there is no clear leader. But the fact that Georgia is competitive right now is big news in itself. The survey attributes Harris's gains to strong support among women, Black voters, and young voters. So let's take the pulse of the people in Georgia and beyond. My sources tonight are multimedia mogul Charlamagne the God.
How is that a source? Charlamagne the God is not a political scientist. He's not a political analyst. You know, like when they talk about Bitcoin, like they'll get Michael Saylor. You know what I mean? They get Charlamagne. This is a radio host. He's a professional, high-paid podcaster. The very people that you all say spew dis and misinformation all day. He also is biased with direct lines to the White House that we talked about earlier, talking about reference information, referencing an ABC interview from earlier this year. So my question is, what kind of contribution can Charlamagne the God provide in this context here? Charlamagne the God, you know, they filter the calls for the radio show, The Breakfast Club. But I mean, he's living in the past. They don't even have no live chat on their radio show. You don't even know what's going on in real time. You only get the calls that they let through. I don't know what kind of experience Charlamagne has throughout the United States, different places that he's ever been, different populations, different groups of people. I don't know any other groups of people who have the mainstream media go and seek out a radio DJ to give them insight to their quote unquote deep political secrets. Do you guys? Because I don't.
voters and young voters. So let's take the pulse of the people in Georgia and beyond. My sources tonight are multimedia mogul Charlamagne the God, host of the Breakfast Club radio show, and author of the new book, Get Honest or Die Lying, Why Small Talk Sucks. Could not agree more with that sentiment. And Angela RYE, CEO of the political advocacy firm Impact Strategies and the co-host of the Native Land.
If you guys notice,
great to see you both. I'm excited to see what you have to say tonight. Charlamagne, let's kick it off with you. You see
every time Charlamagne,
it's a snapshot in time, of course,
is on a TV show, regardless if it's CNN or if it's Fox, because he does go on Fox. Don't get it twisted. They always give him a plug for his book. Did you guys notice that? Go back and watch just maybe 4 or 5 videos from him doing interviews with news companies this year. He gets a plug for his book. Now, ain't nothing wrong with that, right? Sell your product, sell your merch. I tell people buy merch from the merch store all the time. I'm not going to tell you not to. But is that the incentive? I'm just curious. You know what I'm saying?
No clear leader, but Georgia is a swing state again. That was not the case with President Biden. What does this signal to you? Do you think she can keep the momentum going and keep Georgia in play?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, thank you for having us.
Let's actually break that down. If Georgia was not a swing state with Biden, right? Georgia was not a swing state with Biden, and Georgia is now a swing state, unless it was a red state and has converted to a swing state. If it was a blue state and is converted to a swing state, then what that means is that the Democrats have lost control of that state. That's what that means. Ineffective campaigning, ineffective policy, ineffective voter outreach. You've lost control. You were incompetent. You failed. That's what that means. There's nothing else to it, right? Let me ask you guys a question. If you get an F on your test, what does that mean? That means that you failed. That means that you're not competent in that subject matter. That's what that means. It's not rocket science.
Land podcast. Great to see you both. I'm excited to see what you have to say tonight. Charlamagne, let's kick it off with you. You see that poll that I mentioned earlier. It's a snapshot in time, of course. No clear leader, but Georgia is a swing state again. That was not the case with President Biden. What does this signal to you? Do you think she can keep the momentum going and keep Georgia in play?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, thank you for having us tonight. And absolutely, the VP is doing exactly what she needs to be doing. We all know this isn't a traditional campaign because of the short window she has. So she's got to go out there and she's got to leave no stone unturned. She's got to shake every hand, kiss every baby. That is what campaigning is. Campaigning is explain.
So Charlamagne, I want you guys to understand what Charlamagne the God just said. Charlamagne the God just said she's doing everything that she needs to do. Then he went on and said she needs to turn over every stone, reach out to every person, and kiss every hand. Now, if she's doing everything that she needs to do and everything that he described is what she needs to do, then how do we describe that blank period of 40 days before she reached out to the media for an interview of what she was doing? How is that described in? What is that, the great void?
Explaining yourself and your policies to everybody, and
don't let social media fool you.
I like the vibe, but the vibes aren't going to be what wins you this election. People want policy. People want something tangible that they can feel, that can make them feel better about their circumstances. And she's gonna have to go out there
a tangible something that quote unquote makes you feel quote unquote feel better about your circumstances. People want better circumstances. They don't want to feel better about any damn thing. People want better circumstances. So again, what you got is a bunch of just, I don't know, man. Is this paid political analyst talk? Do you feel that you're being adequately represented? Do you feel that he's articulating you in a way that makes you proud? Let me know what you guys think. To me, I'm sitting here asking the question, are you smarter than a 5th grader?
This is President Biden. What does this signal to you? Do you think she can keep the momentum going and keep Georgia in play?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, thank you for having us tonight. And absolutely, the VP is doing exactly what she needs to be doing. We all know this isn't a traditional campaign because of the short window she has. So she's got to go out there and she's got to leave no stone unturned. She's got to shake every hand, kiss every baby. That is what campaigning is.
Not only is it not a traditional campaign because of the short window that she has, but kind of how she got to where she got to is also one of the ways that makes it not a traditional campaign. That's also something that very identifiably makes this not a usual campaign. If you guys would agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree with that, give me a thumbs down.
Is explaining yourself and your policies to everybody, and don't let social media fool you. I like the vibe, but the vibes aren't going to be what wins you this election. People want policy. People want something tangible that they can feel, that can make them feel better about their circumstances. And she's going to have to go out there every single day and explain how she is going to do that for the American people. And she's doing it.
Angela, to bring you in, those battleground polls also show Donald Trump pulling in 19% support from Black voters. That is actually triple what he got in 2020.
Donald Trump has tripled his black support since 2020 in those given states. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Does me reading the screen somehow in bizarro world make me MAGA to a competent human being with half a functional brain lobe? Because what's interesting about this is that these people on CNN can sit here and read this stat unbothered. But somehow, if I simply read this stat, somehow that makes me support Agent Orange here. Let me ask you guys a question. What is the standard on adult intellect enforcement these days? Is there one? Or is it okay for everybody to just be walking around with their brain sloshing in toilet water inside of their heads? Because if you ask me, I think that that's the status quo. Shout out to Crew Reality. Crew Reality says 1 to 3% means triple, but these folks are liars. Well, 7 times 3 is 21. That's pretty close to 19. So that's a pretty close estimate. You know what I'm saying? It's on. If you multiply 3 times 7, you get to 21. That's only a 3-point difference. And I think the margin of error usually is about 6 points. So, you know what I'm saying?
What do you make of that?
Oh, look at there. There it is. It's on the side. On the side right here it says margin of error is 4 points. So if you multiply 7 times 3 and you get 21, 21 is definitely, you know what I'm saying, within 4 points margin of error. So that's how they can say triple.
I'm over.
I don't make anything of these polls that are talking to imaginary black folks. I would love to know, for one, who they're talking to, because I've not seen.
So now it's just these people are imaginary black folks, and we'll just dismiss it. We'll just dismiss them as people that don't exist. They're imaginary black folks. That's why TD always says that little part about he's a Russian bot, because that's what they said last election. People like TD are just a Russian bot. No, you don't get to just dismiss people that don't agree with you as non-existent, because you operate off of somebody else's platform that they built for you, where they command every move that you make, pay you a little bit of a paycheck, and you have to follow their rules and policies. You don't get to dismiss us, who had to build everything from the ground that we have, and we might have a smaller amount of viewership than you, as non-existent. You don't get to do that. You know what I mean? We're just non-existent black folks. So there goes that warm and fuzzy Gestapo of, if you make us uncomfortable, we'll just make you not exist. Let me ask you guys a question. How safe is that going forward in the future? That sounds a lot like Judge Dredd. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think that they don't exist?
I think that they are, maybe, you know what, they might be the invisible man that Ralph Ellison talked about in his book. I don't know who these people are.
So here's the thing, right? And this is where you pull in everybody. These are invisible black folks, according to her. Was Byron Donald invisible when he's been on here defending Trump? When Larry Elder was in front of Charlamagne the God, right? When Larry Elder was in front of Charlamagne the God and went viral off of making Charlamagne and his empty skull go viral because he had steam coming out of his ears from trying to burn so many calories trying to think of responses to say to him. Was that imaginary? Here goes another question. When Candace Owens also graced the Breakfast Club, was that imaginary? That's interesting, because we just named 2 black Trump supporters, not our favorite black Trump supporters, but 2 black Trump supporters that are not imaginary, that are very real, that have a very real track record of things that they've made and done and said, tweets, social media, video posts that were actually on the Breakfast Club. Charlamagne sits there, knows these people exist, has interviewed them, and sits there and lets Angela RYE dishonestly say that these things are non-existent, like xenomorphs and black goo. So again, this is why I ask, if you get somebody who's not a political analyst to do political analysis, is this misinformation? That's my question to you guys. Let me know what you guys think.
I don't make anything of these polls that are talking to imaginary black folks. I would love to know, for one, who they.
What do you think about radio shows that talk to imaginary black folks, though? Because Charlamagne the God talked to two of those imaginary black folks. Let me ask, again, is this misinformation? If this is misinformation, give me a thumbs up. If it's not misinformation, well, then give me a thumbs down and let me know what it is. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. And if you like this content, make sure that you tag somebody that you know that's interested in this type of stuff in your social media post.
They're talking to, because I've not seen.
So you think that they don't exist?
I think that they are, maybe, you know what, they might be the invisible man that Ralph Ellison talked about in his book. I don't know who these people are. There was a Trump ad that was released, I believe today, that's targeting black women voters. And there are these people who, you know, allegedly exist all throughout the country, and they're reading scripts. You can see their eye line going over here. And I think some of them might be paid to say some of these things. I'm not sure. But here's what I do know, Pam. You talked about this not being the case, Georgia not being the case for Joe Biden. Joe Biden did actually win Georgia in 2020. And I also want to give some credit to.
So again, if Joe Biden, let's do this, because see, this is the problem here. We're dealing with people that are not part of reality, so they don't follow the rules of reality like math and science. So let's do math, let's do chronology. If Joe Biden won this state, the state is now converted to a swing state. What that means is that Democrat control has been lost of that state, which means that you're doing an incompetent job. You're producing negative productivity. You suck. That's what that means. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Harris, who has been to Georgia 7 times this year, right? And so I think it's important for us to acknowledge the work that has been done. Their state directors talked about 35,000 new volunteers on the ground since Kamala Harris announced. They have well over 24 offices in that state. They're doing the work. And so what you do see with polls and what you do hear from folks who are registered voters is that the tide is changing, that they're excited about the change and the excitement that Kamala Harris brought to the top of the ticket. And I think we really got to give more credit to the work. I'm not giving any credit to these polls. Polls end up being wrong all the time. And I've seen polls that say 15%, 19%, 18% of black folks. I don't believe it at all. I really don't.
So I want to follow up with what you had said about, you know, who are these voters? As I said, the 19% of black voters supporting Trump. Our CNN's Ali Reeve actually recently spoke to a black voter in Virginia who owns a shop that sells pro-Trump merchandise. Here's what she said about his outreach to black voters, and I'll get your reaction on the other end.
I think the efforts.
Now, again, this we've reacted to this, right? This is a caricature of a black voter that's a Trump voter. There's a lot of these, right? We wouldn't deny them. We know who they are. Tim Scott, he one of them, right? Byron Donald, he's one of them. Larry Elder, he's one of them. Candace Owens, she's one of them. She's one of these people like this, right? But every single person that vote for Trump is not one of these type of people. Everyone that votes for Trump is not one of these type of people. They also didn't take into consideration people that are not voting at all. Now, it's okay for Palestinian people to have an entire uncommitted movement, but you will be chased down by bubblegum pink military wearing, fuzzy wuzzy militants and simp enforcers if you say no one has sold me yet. Because we have a mechanism of monolith enforcement while sitting there saying we're not a monolith. We have a monolith enforcing Gestapo amongst us. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Are succeeding tremendously. All the things that have happened to President Trump, the attacks on him, have done nothing more than strengthen Black people's connection to him, because now he's someone who is the target of a struggle, and they have always felt that they've been a target.
All right, Charlamagne, what do you think about that?
I think that I can't speak for all black people because we're not monolithic, and that woman cannot speak for all black people because we're.
Is Charlamagne telling the truth? We're not monolithic. We're not monolithic. Listen, I want you to understand what just went on here. Charlamagne the God just said that we're not monolithic, while Angela RYE sat there and said, I don't know anybody who these actual people who aren't supporting Kamala Harris are. So in Angela RYE's mind, the normal standardized black person, one of the criteria is you must support Kamala Harris. But at the same time, on the same panel, we're not a monolith. Yet there's one standardized idea that links us all together. Again, this is why I got to bring to you, are we a monolith? Or is we're not a monolith just a talking point? At this point, if you ask me, I would like to believe that we're not, but I cannot believe what evidence does not present. And evidence presents that not only are we a monolith, but there is an internal and unchecked element of monolith and simp policing that enforces the monolith and attempts to use shaming if the monolith is not upheld. I believe that there's a lack of confidence that allows other people to have the freedom to be free thinkers because sadly, many of us do not trust each other's brain power. And others of us have a paid agenda or a paid motive to attack each other's brain power, like we saw Don Lemon doing for Jen Psaki, and she wasn't impressed. Let me know what you guys think.
Yeah, I think she sounds like to be totally honest, I think she sounds like a damn fool, but that's her opinion. And I do feel like, Democrats do owe black people a lot, but last election, 92% of black people voted.
I think inconsistencies sound like a fool. That's what I think sounds like a fool is inconsistencies. Right? I think it's inconsistent when you sit there and say that you don't know any black people who are not all carbon copies of each other, but then turn around and say we're not a monolith. We're either a school of fish or we're an aquarium with a bunch of different fish. Which one are we? Can't have it both ways. But see, we've been in many cases conditioned into a flawed thought process of believing that we can operate with two concurrent realities going on. We cannot operate in two concurrent realities because we're not in a quantum society. So again, I got to ask you guys the question. How can you sit here and watch somebody say everybody's supposed to be the same exactly, and then turn around and have somebody else on the same panel say we're not a monolith?